Hello and thank you for tuning into News Today, where we break down the day's top stories with precision and clarity. Without delay, take a look at the headlines first. Tamil Nadu's Nagapattinam oil spill, NGT imposes 5 crore penalty. SEBI releases consultation paper for changes in BRSR framework. First light for square kilometre array prototype telescope. 12 countries and European Space Agency signed the Zero Debris Charter. Study reveals mechanisms that can lead to sympatric speciation. First global mangrove assessment for the International Union for Conservation of Nature Red List of Ecosystems. In our very first news, the National Green Tribunal has imposed a penalty of Rs 5 crore on the Chennai Petroleum Corporation Limited (CPCL) as a no-fault liability for the oil spill that occurred off the Nagapattinam coast in March 2023. The tribunal invoked the no-fault liability or strict liability doctrine as the pipeline leak was caused by an external force and not due to any negligence or error on CPCL's part. To understand better, let's first learn what's an oil spill. An oil spill, a form of pollution, is the release of liquid petroleum hydrocarbons into the environment, especially marine areas, due to human activities. Such incidents are often caused by accidents involving tankers, pipelines, refineries, and other related facilities. An oil spill has profound consequences, particularly devastating for marine ecosystems. For example, oil spill can lead to loss of biodiversity in marine ecosystem due to habitat destruction, blocking of sunlight, and other factors. Tar balls, which are remnants of oil spills, can disturb the habitat of turtles. Additionally, oil spills can disrupt marine food chains as predators that consume contaminated prey can be exposed to oil through ingestion. Coastal erosion is another potential consequence, resulting from damage to vegetation along the coastline. It's important at this point to take note of the technologies we can use to tackle oil spills. Biological solutions such as oil zapper and oilivorous S, which is more effective against oil with high sulfur content, utilizes bacteria that feed on the spilled oil. Additionally, floating booms, that are temporary floating barriers, are employed to contain marine spills. Different types of sorbents, including straw and volcanic ash, are also used to absorb and remove oil from affected areas. Let's wrap up by summarizing the initiatives aimed at tackling marine oil spills. Firstly, the National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency Plan 1996 designates the Indian Coast Guard as its central agency. Additionally, India ratified the International Convention on Civil Liability for Bunker Oil Pollution Damage in 2015. Moreover, India is also a signatory to the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships. Lastly, India is also a signatory to the International Convention on Oil Pollution Preparedness, Response and Cooperation 1990. In our next news, in a move to enhance the business responsibility and sustainability reporting framework, the Securities and Exchange Board of India has released a consultation paper proposing several changes. These changes were recommended by the S.K. Mohanty Committee to facilitate ease of doing business in the BRSR framework. The BRSR framework, introduced in 2022, requires the top 1,000 listed companies to report their environmental, social, and governance performance in a standardized format based on the principles of the National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct, or NGRBC. The NGRBC was introduced in 2019 by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. It majorly outlines 9 principles to be followed by the businesses. These principles include ethical, transparent, and accountable conduct of businesses, sustainable and safe provision of goods and services, promotion of respect and well-being of all employees, respect the interest of all stakeholders, respect and promote human rights, protect and restore the environment, responsible and transparent engagement in influencing public and regulatory policy, promote inclusive growth and equitable development, and lastly, provide value to consumers. Returning to the key changes suggested in the consultation paper, SEBI aims to redefine the value chain partners, limiting the scope to only significant partners. This move is expected to reduce the compliance burden for smaller VC partners. Additionally, the regulator has proposed granting more time for implementation. For the first year of reporting in financial year 2024-25, reporting previous year's numbers will be voluntary, providing companies with a grace period for adjustment. In the current framework, the BRSR is mandatory from financial year 2020-23 onwards. Proposed changes also integrate the Green Credit Program into the BRSR framework. Green credits generated by a company and its value chain partners will be recognized as an additional leadership indicator under the BRSR. This aligns with the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change's 2024 notification, which allows green credits from tree planting to be reported as an ESG leadership indicator or under corporate social responsibility. Furthermore, SEBI has proposed flexibility for the BRSR core. Companies will have the option to choose assessment instead of assurance for the BRSR core. This change comes after SEBI introduced the BRSR core for assurance and ESG disclosure in 2023, where assurance follows global or domestic standards that go beyond data verification, adding extra costs. In conclusion, the proposed changes to BRSR framework by SEBI aim to strike a balance between promoting sustainability practices and easing the compliance burden for companies. Stakeholders are invited to provide their feedback on the consultation paper. In our next news, a significant milestone has been achieved in the development of the Square Kilometre Array Observatory as its prototype telescope SKAO located in South Africa has achieved first light. First light refers to a new astronomical instrument's first victorious use, resulting in an image that demonstrates its potential. Let's begin by learning more about the Square Kilometre Array Observatory SKAO. The SKA Observatory is an intergovernmental organization composed of member states and partners from 5 continents, headquartered in the United Kingdom. It currently has 9 member countries including Australia, China, Italy, the Netherlands, Portugal, South Africa, Spain, Switzerland and the UK. Other prospective members include Canada, France, Germany, India, Japan, South Korea and Sweden. It aims to build and operate cutting-edge radio telescopes, and its 2 telescopes are currently under construction in Australia's Murchison Shire and South Africa's Karoo. These will cover 2 different frequency ranges and are located in radio-quiet zones, protecting them from interference from the ground. Both SKA telescopes have been designed to work as a single enormous virtual telescope using interferometry. Interferometry uses large numbers of smaller antennas connected together by optical fiber networks. Additionally, its science goals include exploring evolution of universe, tracking gravitational waves, and studying cosmic magnetism. Now, let's also understand the existing partnership between India and SKAO. The country is in the process of securing its membership and is providing funding support of around Rs 1,250 crores for the construction phase of this ambitious project. This funding will be jointly provided by the Department of Atomic Energy, which is the lead agency, and the Department of Science and Technology. India has actively contributed to the pre-construction phase of the SKA telescopes, showcasing its technical expertise and commitment to this global endeavor. The country's participation in the SKAO is expected to open up numerous possibilities for the development of niche skills in Indian industry and research organizations, particularly in cutting-edge technologies. In our next news, in a significant stride towards addressing the growing challenge of space debris, 12 countries and the European Space Agency have signed the Zero Debris Charter during the 11th ESA-EU Space Council meeting. The ESA-EU Space Council was first established in 2004 under the framework agreement between ESA and the European Union. That makes us wonder what exactly is the Zero Debris Charter. It is a world-leading effort to become debris neutral in space by 2030. It contains both high-level guiding principles and ambitious, jointly defined targets to achieve the goal of zero debris. The signatory countries include Austria, Belgium, Cyprus, Estonia, Germany, Lithuania, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. A point to be noted here, space debris refers to all non-functional man-made objects in Earth orbit or re-entering into Earth atmosphere. It includes decommissioned satellites, spent rocket bodies, fragments from spacecraft breakups or collisions, debris from anti-satellite weapon tests, etc. There are currently more than 1 million pieces of space debris larger than 1 centimeter in Earth's orbit. Moving further, here are a few concerns associated with space debris. Space debris is a threat to space infrastructure. Collisions of space debris with operational satellites can disrupt navigation and communication systems on Earth. Additionally, uncontrolled growth of debris can lead to an escalating cascade of collisions known as Kessler syndrome. Large space debris that re-enters the atmosphere uncontrollably also creates risk to the population on the Earth. And lastly, increased cost as costly collision avoidance maneuvers are needed to be performed. To address these challenges, various initiatives are underway. In India, the Indian Space Research Organization is implementing the debris-free space missions by 2030 through its Systems for Safe and Sustainable Space Operations Management (IS4OM). Additionally, Project Netra, Network for Space Object Tracking and Analysis, aims to enhance space situational awareness. On a global scale, the Interagency Space Debris Coordination Committee facilitates worldwide coordination of space debris-related activities, while the Space Debris Mitigation Guidelines of the Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space provide for a framework for responsible space operations. In conclusion, the signing of the Zero Debris Charter by multiple nations and the ESA underscores the urgency of addressing the space debris challenge and paves the way for international collaboration to ensure the sustainability of space operations. In our next news, a new study conducted by scientists from IIT Bombay has shed light on the conditions and mechanisms that can lead to sympatric speciation. But first, let's understand what speciation is. Speciation is a lineage splitting event that produces two or more separate species. There are two primary types of speciation: allopatric speciation, which occurs when populations are physically separated by geographic barriers like mountains or rivers, and sympatric speciation, which can happen even when populations live in the same area without geographical barriers. While ecological evidence exists to support the hypothesis of sympatric speciation, experimental evidence has been absent until now. Now, let us turn our attention to the key findings of the IIT Bombay study. Disruptive selection here plays an important role. Non-uniform resources present in the environment cause populations to adapt to distinct traits. Disruptive selection is a process by which individuals with extreme traits have a higher fitness than those with intermediate traits. For instance, birds with smaller beaks are better at eating nuts, while those with larger beaks are better suited for accessing nectar. Furthermore, the study highlights the role of sexual selection in sympatric speciation. The preference for mates based on a relevant trait that helps in utilizing environmental resources better. Interestingly, the genetic architecture of a population also has a key role to play. For example, if the genetic architecture allowed changes in beak size, then speciation could occur even with a weak role of disruptive selection. In conclusion, the study from IIT Bombay represents a significant contribution to our understanding of speciation, particularly the conditions and mechanisms that can lead to a sympatric speciation. In our next news, first global mangrove assessment for the International Union for Conservation of Nature Red List of Ecosystems has been conducted. This assessment marks a significant milestone as it is the first time an entire ecosystem group has been evaluated using the IUCN's RLE, a global standard for measuring the health of ecosystems, assessing threat levels, and identifying the most effective management pathways. The key findings of this assessment are alarming. A staggering 50% of the assessed mangrove ecosystem are at risk of collapse, with nearly 20% classified as either endangered or critically endangered. The threats to mangroves are multifaceted, including climate change, deforestation, development, pollution, and dam construction. If we look at the specific impacts of climate change, the assessment reveals that one-third, that is 33% of the assessed mangrove ecosystems, are under threat from this global phenomenon. Alarmingly, due to sea level rise, 25% of the global mangrove area is predicted to be submerged within the next 50 years. Without significant changes by 2050, climate change and sea level rise are projected to result in the loss of around 1.8 billion tons of carbon stored in mangroves and expose 2.1 million lives to coastal flooding. Closer to home, the status of Indian mangroves varies, with the Andaman and the Bay of Bengal regions classified as least concern, South India as critically endangered, and West India as vulnerable. However, the importance of mangroves cannot be overstated. These unique ecosystems provide essential services and ecological support for fisheries and biodiversity. They act as carbon sinks, storing around 11 billion tons of carbon and improve water quality by filtering pollutants and trapping sediments. Additionally, mangroves play a vital role in protecting coastal regions from disasters such as floods and storms. In response to the threats facing mangroves, several initiatives have been launched globally and within India. On a global scale, the Mangrove Breakthrough Initiative was launched at the 27th Conference of the Parties of the UNFCCC by the UN High-Level Climate Champions and the Global Mangrove Alliance GMA, which was established at the World Ocean Summit in 2018. Additionally, the Mangrove Alliance for Climate, spearheaded by the UAE in partnership with Indonesia. In India, the Mangrove Initiative for Shoreline Habitats and Tangible Incomes and the conservation and management of mangroves and coral reefs under the National Coastal Mission Program are dedicated efforts to protect and conserve the country's mangrove ecosystems. In conclusion, first global mangrove assessment for the Red List of ecosystems serves as a wake-up call, highlighting the urgent need for concerted action to protect and restore these invaluable ecosystems. In today's Personality and News, we will discuss Kartar Singh Sarabha. The birth anniversary of Kartar Singh Sarabha is observed on 24th May. He was an Indian revolutionary born in the village of Sarabha in Punjab. Let's discuss his key contributions. He became a member of Ghadar Party, which was founded in Oregon in 1913 to overthrow British rule and was one of its most active members. He put together the Punjabi issue of the Ghadar newspaper. On returning to India, he focused on mobilizing Indian soldiers to revolt and simultaneously set up a small-scale arms manufacturing unit in Ludhiana. He was charged with sedition in Lahore conspiracy case and was executed in 1915 along with his compatriot Vishnu Ganesh Pingle. He exemplified values of bravery, courage, activism, and commitment. As we conclude today's main news, let's take a look at some quick updates. Election Commission told the Supreme Court the rules do not permit sharing Form 17C data with any entity apart from polling officials. 17C is associated with the Directions under Conduct of Election Rules 1961. Pre-packaged insolvency resolution process has resulted in the full settlement of operational creditors' claims in 5 cases. It provides for the resolution of stress of corporate MSMEs. It was introduced in the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 through an amendment in 2021. Government is planning radiation processing of onions to prevent shortages. Radiation processing incorporates controlled application of ionizing radiations. In this, nutritional value is least affected in comparison to other processing methods. AI agents like GPT-40 by OpenAI and Project Astra by Google are believed to be far superior to conventional voice assistants such as Alexa, Siri, and Google Assistant. Unlike conventional language models, which solely work on text-based inputs and outputs, AI agents can engage in real-time, multimodal interactions with humans. Researchers from University of Cambridge have developed a method for producing zero-carbon cement. Producing cement is highly polluting, responsible for around 8% of total greenhouse gas emissions. Recently, the heat index reached 50 degrees Celsius in Delhi. Heat index was launched by India Meteorological Department on experimental basis. HI, also known as apparent temperature, is what the temperature feels like to the human body when relative humidity is combined with the air temperature. Telangana Forest Department informed the National Green Tribunal that area of MNP in Chilkur has been reduced by 80 hectares on paper. NGT was hearing a case about extra high-tension electrical lines being laid through the eco-sensitive zone of the park. IIT Madras incubated E-Plane company is expected to launch the electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft in Bangalore. The aircraft can take off and land vertically, enabling them to operate in congested urban areas. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Knowledge. We appreciate your company. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.